Is worming. There are several types of worms. The two main worms in both cats and dogs are roundworm and tapeworm. Now that we're in the, we've got the Channel Tunnel and we have travelling pets going into the European Union with the pet travel scheme, we now have risks of other temperate climate worms coming into the country, which is why you have to worm and tick treat before the animal comes back into the country. But heartworm, lungworm and so on are also worms there that we need to be aware of. Obviously there are pet shop wormers and vet wormers that have been around for many, many years. The pet shop wormers, unfortunately, are the ones that are a spin-off of after they have left the veterinary market and they become GSL products, general sales list products. And they're usually very much less effective by the time they reach that general sales list. Some of them are as good as 70%, but things like piperazine citrate are as little as 40% effective. Drontal and Milvax are our two main veterinary products, and they are around about 99+% effective. So what percentage of pets have worms? 100%. Cats and dogs, they are born with worms. So basically worms pass through the placenta into the puppy and kitten. They pass through the milk from mother into the puppy or kitten. And then when mum is mopping up feces after them, it goes back into the mum and then back through the milk again into the puppy and kitten. So the question is, why do we worm our pets? The thought process is that we worm our pets because of the pet. In the very young kitten and puppy, that is true. But as the animal gets older, the reason that we worm our pets is for public health reasons. And the animal health reason is really secondary to that. Popular misconceptions with this are that a dog rubbing its bottom has tapeworm. It doesn't. And this is the difference between us selling your product and a pet shop selling your product. When a pet shop sells your product, you need to know what you want. You walk into a pet shop and say, can I have a worming tablet please? And they will sell you a worming tablet. If you come into us and ask us for a worming tablet, we will ask you why. And you will then say, because my dog or cat is rubbing its bottom on the ground, and we will tell you it's not worms, it's because it's got anal gland problems. So instead of selling your product, we will look to solve the problem. And that's the difference between the non-professional selling a product and us looking at a service as well as selling a product. The zoonotic element of this is the visceral larva migrans, which is what happens in man. When the larva is ingested by a human, it will then migrate out through the digestive tract into the bloodstream and then pass through to other parts of the body. It will depend on where it seats out as to whether there will be a problem or not. If it's a thigh muscle, then it probably won't make any difference. If it's a lung, it probably won't make any difference. But if it focuses in behind the eye, if the cyst can push the eye forward and produce blindness. If it cysts in the brain, it can produce fits. If it cysts in the spinal cord, it can produce paralysis. In the greater scheme of things, out of 66 million people in this country, there are probably less than 100,000 cases of visceral larva migrans. So in the greater scheme of things, it is not a very big problem. But that's of known cases, and there are probably other cases that we don't know about. Toxocara caris and canis and cati are roundworm. They can be as long as 30 centimeters, which is a foot. It's a long worm. When they all bunch together, they produce what looks like spaghetti in the bowel. This can produce a blockage. They have a direct life cycle, which means that it will go from mum to daughter, mum to daughter, from dog to dog, cat to cat, cat to dog, dog to cat. So they can transfer without any intermediary interference. They can transfer, as I said before, across in the placenta and in the milk, and of course in the feces, which is why dogs are banned from playground, because even if you lift the feces off the ground, there's still soiled ground underneath it. That's a picture of Toxocara cati, just to show you roughly what they look like. Ankylostomum caninum. These are just nice big pictures showing you what these worms look like, although they are very, very tiny in life. Tapeworm, Echinococcus and Taenia are the two main tapeworms. The roundworm and the tapeworm is the tapeworm has an indirect life cycle. So once the animal, the dog or cat excretes the egg, if they ingest the egg, it will not cause a problem. The problem is created by the indirect hosts, being the flea, the rodent, or birds. So this is why if an animal has fleas, it has worms, it has tapeworm. That is mandatory, that is absolute. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Worming, with the pet shop wormer, you will need to do that every month because it is less than 70% effective. If you're using a veterinary wormer, then you can do it once every 3 months. The annual cost of a pet shop wormer is in excess of £49 to £50. The annual cost of a veterinary wormer of 20 kilos, a 20 kilo animal, is around £22 to £25. So basically, if you're going to worm with a pet shop one, you do need to be doing it very much more frequently. If you use ours, first of all, we will direct you better because we will give you veterinary cover on that as to what to do with it. And if there are problems, like for example, you're still seeing worms, then it may be because it's a hunting cat. And so, although fleas is a major reason why we see tapeworms, cats that are hunters are another reason why you see tapeworms. And so a very good hunter may very well require to be wormed every 2 months or even every month, even with a veterinary product.